huge volumes of. Anyway, all right. Now that the channel is live, hello everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, roll
D
some
and
dice and
Drag those
stuff.
dungeons.
it's time for the dragon.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight: Jenny Meltzer as Zaleen,
Hello.
Mark Kilfoyle as Nedry Shiny Rock,
What sort of questionable things will we do today?
Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn,
Winner twice.
and John Merlin as Baldu.
I'm sure my luck's going to improve any day now.
So alas, we are short Starla tonight. I'm just I believe that yes. So I was just confirming that this was a she cannot attend as opposed to a just might be a little bit late. But in any case, we are down Starla tonight. We miss her, but we assume she will be back next time. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about what the pocket protectors have been up to. Having emerged from the temple to Marushka, made a new friend in Baldu, defeated an undead dragon armor thing, and then salvaged the armor only to then exchange it for some fancy magical items. The party has some big plans ahead, but they decided to hang out in Emersham for a little bit, get a little downtime, and then participate in their local beach festival. And so we had some exciting games and competitions on the first day, and then the first night of the beach festival included a big bonfire and more cooking, and then just songs and dancing, and it was all very lovely. But then the next day, I am going to present a montage of some preliminary rounds of competition leading up to the big finale of the day two games. And here's where Zaleen and Baldu, having found the local goth club, so to speak, and done some evangelizing for the Mistress of the Dark, also ran afoul of the local preppy crew of Solomonia worshippers. And essentially, it became clear that there was a challenge in place. And so, as a result, unless anyone really objects, I'm going to suggest that what happened is that the pocket protectors decided to accept this beach competition challenge against this team of Solomonia worshippers. It's not specifically against them at first, but it was both choosing to enter. And so the pocket protectors have entered as a group, except for Lynn, who had better things to do, apparently. And so there is a montage here of all of the preliminary rounds, because it's a bracket, you see, all of the different teams that have entered. But what I would like is for each one of you to give me just a little moment from these early rounds where you're doing various sorts of physical challenges and puzzles and that sort of thing. So just a highlight moment for each of you. And then in between each of you, I'll share a different anecdote of this other team.
I feel like at some point we had to build a sort of like robotic thing, like a robot building competition. So I tried to replicate the Craberatus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it went pretty well, or at least relative to your competition in that round. Meanwhile, over at the other round, you have the nerdy one of the Solomonia crew, who has done their own design that is a special sort of greenhouse growth box that has a light source that rotates to replicate the rising and falling of the sun so that you can have light to grow your plants with, inspired by the great sun even at night. And they win with that.
Nedry and I team up to make a giant sand castle sculpture of Sunya de Torbello, because what makes a better sand castle than an actual castle?
Very nice. Meanwhile, the Solomonia worshippers have created a perfect replica of the Temple of Solomonia Cathedral in Pashan, complete with they've found some way to use little dyes to add color to certain sections of it, and so they've made their own winning round competition there.
Evan and Baldu convinced Evan to join him in the beach volleyball contest, where we won by default because we spiked a ball and it landed on the tusk of an orc, and yeah, the ball just went, and umpire was like, yeah.
And so we also cut to the big bruiser of the Solomonia crew, who is so big and tall that like she doesn't even have to jump or anything. Every time the other team tries to bat the volleyball over the net, she just holds up her hand and smacks it back over. Just like poof, poof, poof.
Geez. You can tell I haven't been in one of these games in a while. I think it'd be funny if there was sort of a trivia contest, which Nedry kept losing because he'd run out of time trying to explain everything about the trivia that he knew. And so it became an effort to try to just get him to summarize things more quickly.
I think that because it is necessary for our fiction here that the team does eventually win, I think it actually is so endearing to the crowd that it becomes this whole thing where the crowd is giving, gives this affectionate, encouraging chant of, "Wrap it up, Nedry, wrap it up." But it is cheering you because they know you know the answer, and it's just a matter of getting you to actually just say it.
Cool.
And in the meantime, you have the other team who seem to be entirely serene, and there's just a moment where they are asked the trivia question, and they just seem to meditate for a second, and then just state the answer every time. But as the bracket has narrowed, it has come down to the final challenge between the Solomonia crew and the Pocket Protectors. And I guess we probably have Evan instead of Lynn in this particular challenge. And we can perhaps discuss what Lynn was doing in the meantime. But what we have here, for those of you who watch or have watched Survivor, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as I start to describe it. But revealed on an area of beach that had been walled, covered, barricaded from all sides, they finally reveal that they have constructed with wood and ropes and colorful paint an elaborate maze that's kind of in 4 quadrants with a big platform in the middle. And this is a team challenge where both teams of 5 must nominate a caller who stands at the center platform. all the other contestants are wearing blindfolds, and the caller must direct them through a section of the maze. There's 4 sections. And at the end of each section of the maze, there is some kind of challenge where they will need to get a flag and then bring it back through the maze. And then when the team has brought all 4 flags back to the center, there's one last puzzle to complete. And the team that completes that puzzle the fastest, first, will win. And so, given Carolina's absence, you all will get the general feeling that performance is the skill going to be necessary for the caller, because the key here is being able to be heard over the other caller and be able to communicate instructions clearly. And so the short version is that the caller is going to make a performance check, and depending on their result, they are able to cancel out the disadvantage of some number of the other players. So because everyone else is blindfolded, you would be doing everything you're doing at disadvantage unless the caller can choose to give you cancel that by giving you directions.
How big is the maze?
It is big enough that it is essentially, depending on how well you do, it will take 1 round to go through the maze, even if you do it perfectly.
So less than 60 feet potentially from center to side, center to corner.
Yeah, I think it would be actually somewhere in that neighborhood.
The callers for both teams, they're on the same platform,
Correct.
presumably.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming physical interaction with the caller from the opposite team is frowned upon.
Yes, I think in principle, direct interference with the other team is not really to be done. However, especially with the contestants running through the mazes blindfolded, it's possible that incidental interactions may be unavoidable.
So,
but yes, the caller for one team should not just push the other caller off the platform.
Okay. I think because
they designed a fancy challenge here. It's not a fight.
No, I get that. I think it might be time to call in some favors that were owed, with the intent to have our goth friends drown out the prep squad.
Okay.
Caller. And I'm also wondering if instead of using performance, one might be able to use, say, intimidation to just intimidate my team into going in the right direction.
Well, so I think ordinarily, so key to this, and this is important because this is all based on, as I mentioned, survivor challenges that can be similar in this regard. Both callers are not taking turns. Like, we're doing turn-based because that's how this game works.
Yes.
But the 2 callers are constantly at the same time directing their own team. Both teams are going at once. And so it's not really possible for anyone outside to drown out one and not the other. Or at the very least, it would need to be explained to me how they would manage that.
Sure thing. So,
as for intimidation instead of performance, I mean,
Nedry, go straight ahead or I'll rip your teeth off.
I think the issue is not attitude, but being able to be heard clearly. Right?
So somebody who has sending should probably be the caller then.
Well, I was thinking about that. It depends on the rules, really. And Nedry closes his mouth and says too clearly in his mind, because some of us have other ways of speaking.
Baldu's eyes just go wide at this and just kind of like, I guess proper understanding the rules might go some way.
So the way that I had intended for the collar to work is that they would make a performance check, and depending on their result, they would be able to cancel out the disadvantage for 1, 2, or 3 runners of their choice. Meaning, if they get a really high result, then 3 of the 4 runners that they pick can have their disadvantage canceled for that round.
What if?
Because
And then
everyone's
Druid-
going at once doing their own thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that brings another question. There's 4 quadrants. I assume it's one of us in each quadrant.
Yes, and so it would be the caller that decides which quadrant to send each runner. And I will say more about what each one is when the time comes for the caller to make that decision.
So it would require a bit of mental concentration, which is something I have been working on. But one possibility would be,
And Nedry wants to try this. I have no idea if it'll work. As he says out loud,
there once was a man from Nantucket.
but in his mind, he says,
I want to see if I can say 2 things at the same time, one to confuse them and one to guide you.
Okay. Do you have in mind a mechanic for that? I mean, we could have it be like an intelligence check, or
I mean, that's kind of the closest. I mean, it's not really a skill that I can think of unless it's something
yeah. I
like,
mean, intelligence straight up makes the most sense to me in terms of trying to telepathically say one thing and then out loud say another.
yeah, I could see that. So he would try that and see how. Watch him roll the first
And
one
so-
of the night.
I think maybe so.
That's the spirit.
The idea is that like what you would say out loud is intended to just kind of try to confuse
Increase the
other
noise for
caller.
everyone else. Yes.
Okay.
Not necessarily be
for
just
the
a rhyme
record,
from
I
Nantucket,
am
but-
not actually doing all of the rolls for the other team. I have a basic pace that they are at, and you can like if you come up with ways to interfere with them, it could change the pace that they're going at. But I'm not like literally doing rolls for them.
Fair.
So, Mr. Nedry, it seems like you might be the obvious choice to be our caller.
It
That
might
may
work.
be- Yep.
Oh, what does that spell do?
Someone should pull up Evan's stats just to do his rolls for this.
I can give you the page if someone doesn't have the link.
Chooch pinned them in the players chat. So
Yeah, I made bookmarks too.
I got it.
All right. So, as Nedry is called up then to take his place up on that central platform, the leader, the bossy one, the snotty one of the Solomonia crew is your counterpart on the other team, and she kind of sneers down at you, and says, "Don't worry, the better team will win. I'm sure of it."
We will.
No, I mean us.
You what?
We're the better team. We're going to win.
Well, that's not obvious.
Maybe not to you.
Right. You were at the
Boxes are
trivia
there.
contest, right? I'm rarely wrong.
So, what you see as the other 4 players, Evan and Zaleen and Zinhorn and Baldu, are blindfolded, and they're pretty thorough with the blindfold. And to be sure, physically trying to take off the blindfold or like manipulate it is definitely cheating, and they're watching for that. But
Does anybody have true sight? Does anybody have true sight?
Blind sight.
Blind sight?
Doesn't Zinhorn have blind sight?
he has a dagger of blind sight. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a dagger of blind sight that gives me blind sight to 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Convenient.
which will help with some things and maybe not others, depending on how it all plays out. But each of you are led to the center now. And so from this platform, you can see, Nedry, that the 4 different challenges are going to be, there is one where it's a little bit of like an obstacle course. That would require, someone to be kind of light on their feet and able to navigate easily around things. One that is they have to climb up like a steep ramp. And then one is untying a bunch of knots. And then one is that the flag is apparently inside a bin full of live crabs. And so each of those stations has a flag that must be returned to the center. And so in principle, it's not actually required that each runner get one flag. It's just that if each runner is able to get one flag, that's the fastest, right? So if one person could do 2 of them before another person finished their one, then like theoretically that's still fine.
So are there any prohibitions against magic use?
Well, I think that there are judges who are prepared to make rulings on the spot. This is all in the spirit of fun and healthy, good sportsmanship and competition. And so as a result, it's one thing to use sort of natural talents. It's another thing to do anything that might be perceived as cheating. And there are judges prepared to make those rulings.
Because Vortex Warp would be really killer right now. But no, he'll refrain.
All right.
He wants the challenge.
So the short version is that each round is going to be the caller making their performance check. And depending on how well they do, we get cancel the disadvantage for some number of the runners. And then each runner is going to make a survival check to get through the maze. And then a different check depending on which station they're at. And then a survival check to get back through the maze. And then would be like 3 rounds or more if they don't succeed on their first attempt at a thing. You know what I mean? There's a DC for each of those rolls. So a round, I should say, like 1 round, the first round would be everybody just trying to go through the maze. And then if they succeed on the next round, they try the challenge. And then on the 3rd round, if they succeeded at the challenge, they would return through the maze. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. So the crowd has gathered to watch this whole big thing. There is a large contingent for each team. In terms of there's the folks who are excited to root for the adventurers who fought the dragon, but then there's also the hometown Solomonia girls, and so there's a lot of excitement in both directions. But the first decision, as just before we leave, is that you're going to assign, Nedry. You are deciding what each of the 4 runners is, which station each of them is going to go to, because they can't see it.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's actually kind of tough. I think that Zinhorn has claws, right?
I mean,
Inharn has
Yeah.
claws, and he has.
he doesn't have a
So-
climbing speed, if that's what you mean.
But it also makes it harder to untie knots, theoretically.
Oh well, I wouldn't rule
In
that it's
story, if
harder.
not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
in actual roles.
Yeah.
But I think he would assign Zinhorn to number 2, the steep ramp.
Okay.
Assign. I've got Evan to put in here too somewhere,
Yeah.
haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's 4, and
Tempting to put Evan in the bin of live crabs. but he'd cry too much. So I'm going to put Evan in the.
To be clear, the person would not necessarily like be in the bin. It's a bin that you'd like be sticking your hands and arms
Right.
into, fishing around
Right.
for the flag.
I'm going to give Evan the obstacle course.
Okay.
Zaleen is going to get. Zaleen is going to get the crabs. And then Baldu gets the knots.
Okay. So, that makes us we're ready to go, and so the master of ceremonies is up there wearing some sort of a strange hat with like a brim in just the front, and it's kind of orange. But and he's wearing like a cargo shirt with pockets, and he says, "Contestants ready? Go!" And
Before
so
we do start, I know that like she made some kind of weird thing like last night with her
well, so you wouldn't
goddess.
know that, but in the meta, yeah.
Right. So I did say that like when we went back to where we were staying, like I had meditated and like reached out to the Mistress of the Dark for her aid against, her mortal enemy of the light, basically. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, sure, yeah. So let's begin with Nedry's first performance check.
Or in this case, is it the intelligence check? Because the
Well, so I guess tell me what you're doing.
So I gave the example of a stupid limerick, but the idea would be to say things that are so wrong it confuses everyone else.
Okay.
So that could be deception, I suppose, or it could be intelligence-based deception.
Well, so I think that would be a deception, because if you're trying to interfere with what the other caller is saying rather than direct your own team.
Well, directing the team with the inner voice.
Okay,
and then
but
using
what I'm
deception
saying,
with the
okay,
other voice. Yeah.
but what you're saying out loud is to interfere and not direct your team.
Yep. So can that be an intelligence-based
That would be,
deception or
I don't
charisma?
see how it would be. I mean, because you're literally like you're trying to shout over another person. What is it that like I don't know how that's intelligence based really.
Yeah, I mean, it's the choice of the words, right?
Well,
Intellectual
yeah, but I
puzzle.
mean,
But I won't
okay.
argue it. It's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I think it's a regular deception roll,
Okay.
and then
That's a-
you'll also make an intelligence check to try to also give real directions. I see, but the thing is, I guess I'll make the intelligence roll be the equivalent of the performance roll, meaning depending on how well you do, you can give instructions to one or more of your party members.
Okay. Sorry to more complicate your problem.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, the reason the rules are imperfect here is because you've invented a bizarre way to manipulate them. So that's on you.
Yep. Players. Okay. So an 18 on the deception and only a 7 on the actual performance,
Okay.
or on the intellect one.
Okay. So only a 7, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'll rule here is that what sort of things are you doing at, like, because the other person, like the other caller, is doing very straightforward, like, okay, Jennifer, go, forward, and Casey, go turn right, like she's doing straightforward stuff. What are you actually doing to try to interfere with her?
Sing the hokey pokey, Nedry. Come on.
No, it would be in line with the contest, but it would be the kind of thing where because they're in the same quadrants, right? We've got contestants in each of the quadrants, so it would be telling them, like, okay, the flag is all the way to your left, so, and where it's actually all the way to the right. And if you reach out now, you'll probably touch one of the other contestants. Make sure that you leave them alone, but know that they're going in the wrong, like that kind of
Well,
calling both their people out. And if I hear a name, he'd repeat the name as if giving them instructions.
Okay. I
while
see.
inside
I
just
see.
calmly
I see.
monotone.
Okay. So I think just what those runners would be doing is trying to listen to one voice and not the other. But I think
Right.
it would be confusing if you start calling their names.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is that you successfully, like, the other caller, as soon as they realize you're doing that, is just giving you a look like, wait, what is this? And the other runners are a little confused because she kind of stops yelling directions for a second. So they are definitely slowed down. But I think you're so focused on that for this first round that you don't actually really give anything useful to your own
Yeah.
team members.
Yep.
And so what we need from all of you now is a survival check to try to navigate this maze blindfolded.
So it's a disadvantage.
Yes, and it is disadvantage
There you go.
for so your blind sight is not going to help you with the maze, Zinhorn,
Okay,
because it's
got it.
bigger than 10 feet.
Well, it's 30 feet of blind sight.
30 feet of blind sight? I thought it was 10. Okay, well, fine. So I still don't think it would because it's basically just like ropes.
Okay, so
And-
survival.
Yeah. So survival at disadvantage.
So 16 and a 19, so 16.
Okay, yeah. So Zinhorn manages to make his way through his portion of the maze.
I got an 11, and for Evan it was 12.
Okay. Yeah, actually both of you make it through the maze as well.
I did not roll with disadvantage because on my first roll I got a nat 1.
Okay. Well. Yeah, so I think that somehow you got turned around enough with the blindfold, and because you didn't get the instruction to tell you otherwise, you actually started going in the wrong quadrant.
Perfect.
So you're navigating the wrong section of the maze.
It's all right. All right. Could be worse.
Okay, so the other team has not made a lot of progress this round either because they were confused by Nedry. Although you get the feeling that the DC for doing that is going to get harder as they realize what you're up to. All
If
right.
it starts working, he'll start changing it. I don't know what to get to yet, but whatever.
Okay, next round.
Okay. Yeah, this can only get worse. There you go. There's the nat 1.
Okay.
And there's another 2. So, yep. Much worse.
So what was that? You failed both of them? Is that what you're saying?
I rolled a nat 1 on confusing the rest. So
Okay.
that stopped working immediately.
Yeah.
And then I rolled another 2 for a total of 7, which is the same roll as last time on helping them.
Okay. So yeah, that's not going well for this round because I think maybe you just sort of, the other caller just kind of sneers down at you and then yells to her others. It's like, only listen to my voice, idiots. And then she continues calling and they stop listening to what you're saying.
Temptation to cheat is so high.
Well, I mean, you can, but you will potentially get your team disqualified. So up to you. So in the meantime, though, yeah, I think that you're getting some kind of confusing instructions from Nedry that don't make it worse, but don't really help you much either. However, Zaleen, you have made it to your station, and you feel in front of you that you've reached the end of this bin, and you know that you're going to be looking for a flag, and you're hearing scuttling sounds, and you realize there is some kind of crustacean in here. Make an animal handling check at disadvantage.
You're muted.
So that was a 12.
Okay, a 12 was just enough. I think you take a couple of pinches, and I don't know. You tell me how you feel about rooting through a bin full of live crabs.
It's weird. Like it doesn't bother me, but it also doesn't make me happy. It's just really weird.
But you find after rooting through there, you find a flag and are able to, lift it out and then shake it a little bit to get one of the crabs that was holding onto it off, and you've achieved the first flag. Baldu, you're still trying to get through the maze. I think you got enough instruction to let you know you had to go back to the beginning and go a slightly different way, but you're still needing to go through the maze. So survival at disadvantage.
All right, that is a 6.
Okay. Yeah, you're still having a rough go. You've hit a couple of different dead ends, and you're not sure what you're doing wrong. In the meantime, Zinhorn, you also, I believe, made it to your station, right?
Yes, I did.
So you can definitely, with the blind sight, easily see that, oh, it's a big ramp and there's a flag at the top. So it needs to be an athletics check, but you do not have disadvantage for this because you can see it with your blind sight.
Okay. I got
Probably
a
a
10.
blind sight dagger is the sort of thing that might have been considered cheating if anyone knew you had it. But yeah. What'd you get?
Okay. 10.
Okay. I think as you start to scramble up, you discover it's a little bit more slippery than you thought. And so you get about 2/3 of the way up and then kind of face plant on it. And so you're like spread eagled on it about halfway up right now.
Can I lie?
Well, I'm telling you what you got with your 10.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So the roll was to see how well it worked out. And that was the answer.
That was
So,
okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
the flying wouldn't have made a difference because it still would have been an athletics roll.
Okay.
But then we have Evan, who got to the obstacle course, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be an acrobatics check for him.
All right. Disadvantage.
Yes.
It opened the window. What the heck?
Oh.
I was trying to like click on the dice and it opened the acrobatics explanation. 13 and a 24. So 13.
Okay. Yeah. So he is able to, hot foot it through the fantasy tires and crawl on his belly under the rope net, and he seizes the second flag. But meanwhile, the other team has definitely started to make progress of their own, and they've got 1 flag out of 4 so far. All right. Next round, Nedry.
They're just going to change tactics as to what he's saying out loud
Okay.
to something he knows well enough to be able to rattle it off, but in an area which might confuse people, especially the relevance.
Okay.
So he's going to start doing a historical essay
all right.
and some of the foundations of world history to try to shift it, partially to shift it to a different skill, but also just to give something entirely different because they don't know what the relevance is, this code we've worked out ahead of time.
Well, the other thing that's happening, I think, is that you're losing the crowd because it seems like you're not taking the competition seriously. You're not actually directing your teammates.
Right.
So that doesn't mean you
Yeah.
can't win that way. It doesn't actually seem to be cheating. It just seems to be playing the competition inefficiently.
True. And that really isn't going to help. What if he spoke both ways? Because he would yell only a couple of words and then give the full explanation in their heads, which would be completely clear.
So we're still talking about, brief rounds. So like you don't have time to say a whole lot.
True.
I don't think you have
know.
time to do a historical lecture and say, hey, turn left after 3 feet.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's not a lot of relevant ways to work the situation here. So,
If you want, I'll let you do intelligence. So intelligence check to improve your performance result, if you want. Like, because you can kind of say more than one thing at once. So you can direct one person with your out loud voice and someone else with the
okay.
secondary.
I'll try that. Rolls
Okay.
have not been in my favor, which is even more hilarious.
Yeah, well, you're getting the bad ones out of the system. So First, just performance, and then intelligence check to
Oh.
try to get a bonus.
It's currently stuck on. Well, that was the intelligence check because I just happened to type that one first.
Okay.
So 15 on the performance check,
Okay, so that is, you can give advantage to one of your teammates with that.
and a 19 on the intelligence.
Okay, so I'll let you give it to another person then. So you can
Okay.
you can give two of your colleagues the advantage to cancel out disadvantage.
Okay, because Baldu clearly needs the help. Baldu will be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then because Zin is spinning a little bit, I'm going to give Zinhorn the other.
Okay.
All right.
Because it looks like Zaleen and Evan, apparently the Mistress of the Dark is working their magic right now. So
Sure. Okay, so I think let's go to Baldu first with this round. So you have now got to make a survival check, not at disadvantage because you're actually getting directions.
All right, that is a 4.
A 4. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that. So is this a know your other left type of deal, or what?
Um,
How do you
It-
account
it
for
could
these
be.
poor rolls?
it's. I mean, Baldu's never really anywhere long enough to have to survive there. He's normally just on a plane for like hour, 2 hours tops.
Well,
Assassinate
I mean,
somebody,
in this
come
case,
back.
though, like that's the skill roll we're using, but mostly what you're trying to do is follow instructions through a maze. And so, are you just like disoriented?
Being
or-
blind, yes, being blindfolded is not helping.
Yeah. Also, like there's sand and
And
It's hot.
who's ever been in the sun for this
Yeah.
long? Like,
Mm.
it's not normal.
getting sweaty,
Yeah,
which is
Probably
just
burning.
totally contrary to your whole aesthetic.
it's hot in these black robes.
Okay, so unfortunately, Baldu is still struggling with his section of the maze. But Zinhorn, so you realize that your blind sight wasn't showing you that part of the ramp looked wet and more slippery than the rest. But now you can try to make another athletics check with advantage this time because you were doing a straight roll before and now you have advantage.
Okay. 12.
Okay. 12 is good enough. You secure the flag, and so that is 3 flags for your team now. In the meantime, Zaleen and Evan have to make their way back to the center.
So is that just survival again?
Yes. Once again, at disadvantage.
Nine for me.
Okay, so unfortunately, yeah, you're finding you're a little bit stuck here.
5 for Evan.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
rolled a natural 1.
Yeah, so both of you had made your way through the first time pretty clearly, and maybe just were a little overconfident and thought that meant that you knew how to get back, but somehow you must have missed a turn somewhere because you've hit some dead ends. And meanwhile, the other team is starting to catch up. They have gotten 2 more flags this time, so it's now neck and neck, 3 flags to 3 flags. Of course, no flags have yet been returned to the center. It's just grabbed. So I think it's time for round 4.
All right. I've got no clever tricks left, so although again trying to use the mind to
Sure.
do better, that's not going to do much better. That's a 9 on both rolls. So
Okay.
yeah, there we are.
Yeah, I think unfortunately you're not able to really, like, you're giving basic directions, but it's not terribly helpful. And part of the problem is literally just trying to shout over this other caller who is very loud. She has kind of just a piercing shout that makes it difficult to be heard over, and it's distracting as well.
Yeah, I hope
so-
the telepathy would help with that, but it's not really.
Well, I mean that you got that, it gave you that second roll, so it's
Yeah.
like still helping in principle, but yeah. So bear in mind, I'm just adjudicating the results of the rolls, it's not the mechanic first. But in any case, that means that we've got Baldu once again trying to navigate. You're at disadvantage again.
That would have been absolutely amazing. I just got to check. Oh, yeah, no, that I tell you what, that actually is absolutely amazing because
Oh?
I rolled a nat 20
Uh-huh.
and a natural 19. So
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah,
20.
you have finally made it through the maze, and you have found a station where there is clearly a flag, but in order to slide it off of its little flagpole, you have to untie a whole bunch of knots, and so that's what you're going to be doing next. Zinhorn, you have achieved your flag. Now you have to get back through the maze. Survival at disadvantage.
Ooh. Nine. And an 8. Okay, it's
Okay.
an 8.
All right. Unfortunately, yeah, you have also gotten lost on your way back, as Zaleen and Evan had. How about the two of you?
$22.
Okay.
Nice.
Which for who? For Zaleen?
Me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. The first flag has been returned.
And then Evans was a 15.
Okay, yeah. So the both of you get back to the base with the flags, and those are the first to be returned. Although the Solomonia crew has a couple behind you, and so the crowd is starting to really cheer because it's heating up. And it is at that point that I would like Nedry to make an Arcana roll.
Might actually be one I could do. I say that and it's going to be bad. Yep, it's bad. Well, actually, 19 is not too bad.
Okay. Well, a 19, you don't have necessarily a perfect understanding of the way divine magic works as opposed to arcane magic. But you have studied a lot of different kinds of magic. You have seen divine magic being worked. And you start to realize that even though you were doing your own thing where you're kind of trying to use telepathy at the same time you're yelling, you realize that some of what is supposed to look like it's just sort of like dramatic talking with your hands, gesturing that the other caller is doing, she actually seems to be doing some kind of somatic components, hand movements. She is doing some kind of a divine magic with her hands as she is doing her calling.
Yeah, I can't cheat as well as they can.
Counterspell.
Do I have an idea what the spell is? Like, was it a one and done, or is it an ongoing
So
spell?
I think with your 19, you recognized it, recognized that she's doing it. You're not sure exactly what, but you can certainly conclude that it seems not only surreptitious, like she's trying to disguise that that's what she's doing, but also presumably she's trying to win. So it seems related to that, but you don't know exactly.
Mm-hmm. Because if it's an ongoing one, then it's a counterspell. If it's effect, it's dispel magic. That's why I kind of
Yeah, it seems to be something she's maintaining.
Okay.
Like
No.
she's kind of like actively. It's so you imagine it would be like the spell where you maintain concentration and then each round you use an action to keep it going.
Okay. But to cast a spell, would that be instead of giving directions, or?
I think I would make you do because you could still speak. I would let you do. So like what you've been doing is performance and then an intelligence check for like a bonus. I'll let you do the performance one still, but not the other one if you cast a spell.
Okay. Yeah, he'd look really annoyed. That cross look comes on his face,
Uh-huh.
and then he would I suppose trying to hide a little bit, but cast to dispel magic in that direction
Okay.
to disrupt the magical spell, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just at the
So-
base level, though, at third level.
Sure. What does it look like? What are the for dispel? Is it vocal or somatic, or like
It's
what are the-
vocal and somatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think just kind of tossed into the middle of the other instructions you're doing, you kind of toss that in there too. And so that one is one where like the judges can see that you're doing a spell, but they're also knowledgeable. And so like, I think they recognize that that's what this spell is. And so that wouldn't be cheating to try to dispel something. And if you successfully dispelled something they didn't realize was happening, like, it doesn't mean that they know that the other team was cheating, but certainly they wouldn't necessarily think it's cheating for you to try to dispel something.
Okay. They don't seem to be,
Yeah.
at least.
So in any case, as soon as you do that, the caller of this other team kind of just stumbles and then looks back at you with just fury and says, "You little pipsqueak."
If you want a magical battle, we can change the battlefield. But right now, we're having fun.
So she poofs at you again and goes back to calling. So right now, though, I think that you can see, although your blindfolded colleagues cannot, that suddenly the other blindfolded team seem like they're moving much less steadily than they were a moment ago. So in any case, now it's time for you to make your performance check.
Yeah. This one. Okay. 13 total.
Okay, so with a 13, you can give one person advantage.
I think Baldu was still having the worst time of it. Wasn't
Well,
Did
he is
did
now
I don't need
at
that.
the knot tying
Oh,
station.
you got to the knot tying.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
He's fine with knot tying. And
and Evan and Zaleen
and
have
Evan made it
returned
back.
already, so
So
Zinhorn
it would
needs
be
help getting
Zin.
back through the maze.
Yeah, it'd be Zen then.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
I'm quite
so
confident, in fact, that Baldu can untie knots with his eyes closed.
We're gonna find out, aren't we?
Double ones, that's never happened before.
okay, so Zinhorn, how about a survival straight?
How about it? 8.
Oh no. Okay. So I think maybe what happens here is that you're being given instructions, but I think maybe you get caught on something, and so like where you're supposed to go, but like you're
I'm hung up on something.
you've hung up on something. So you're still trying to get back. Baldu, go ahead and make a sleight of hand.
With disadvantage, it's 19.
All right. Well, yes, you untie those knots handily. It is there are gasps from the audience because you did it really fast.
You did say
Just
sleight
tell
of hand check, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. It's like it suddenly had this, like she said, like did I roll that before she said?
No, you got it. It's the obvious. It's the obvious one. So in any case, yeah, you have obtained the flag. Meanwhile, Zaleen and Evan, you are still blindfolded because, in principle, until all 4 flags are back, the callers could choose to have you do something else, right? Like they could send you out to do to help something else. So Nedry, would you have been giving them any instructions now that they seem to be back, or?
Was there any problem with them wandering into someone else's
Not
puzzle,
in
or-
theory, although it would be probably
It seems-
considered
seems-
bad form, if not
Yeah.
precisely cheating, to try to send them to directly interfere with the other team.
What Nedry would do would be send them to
Mm-hmm.
where the end point is for the other 2
Yeah.
to vocally call them to them.
Okay. Yeah. To just say, follow my voice, follow my voice.
Exactly. It's
yeah,
another
yeah.
way to guide them in.
Okay. Assuming Zaline and Evan are doing that, I think that you find, Zaline, as you have moved to that spot and start calling out like that, suddenly make an this is a is this, so a grappling check, you can, to resist a grapple you can do athletics or acrobatics. Is it resisting a shove the same way?
You'd think so.
I think it is. Let's see. 5e shove attack. Let's see.
Would it be a dexterity though?
Well, that's why
Was it
I
a
was-
saving throw or is it a
That's
contested
what
roll?
so that's what I'm looking, because like if you're resisting a grapple, you make a check, right?
Right.
But
Like if you're being shoved though, it would be a dexterity to see if you maintain your
yeah,
position.
shoving a creature. Okay, you make an attack. Let's see. You make an
it's
athletics check to, if you are shoving someone, you make an athletics. Yeah, it's basically the same as grappling. So
Okay.
you can make someone bumps into you hard, and you can make an athletics or acrobatics check to try to resist being shoved over.
Okay, I'm gonna do acrobatics.
Okay.
4.
Okay. Yeah. So you are sent sprawling due to one of the other team accidentally, finger quotes, running into you in their blindfolded confusion.
Hellish rebuke.
Do you really?
Now the gloves
Somebody
are
just
off.
knocked me over. It scared the crap out of me.
Last one standing is the winner,
I
right?
mean, if you do, we're gonna roll it.
I'll do it.
Okay. So they make a dexterity check, right?
Yep.
Dexterity saving throw.
Mhm.
Okay. They get a 13.
It's 16.
Okay, so how much damage do they take? What does it look like?
Six.
Okay. Yeah, so I think you hear them scream in pain. It sounds like it was that big bruiser on their team. And you hear them yelling complaint, "She burned me! She burned me!" But the judges have not stopped play at this time. In the meantime, Evan, I think, is also getting bumped into roughly.
Okay. So let's see. What's he good at? Acrobatics. 23.
Okay, yeah. So I think he hears some of what's going on with you, and he's a little bit more on his guard, and so as he feels someone trying to sort of bump into them, he just kind of sidesteps, and they fall over in his place. So we are now at our next round. The other team has managed to return 3 flags, and so you're a little bit behind. But also now Nedry has disrupted something that they were doing before. So,
Zaylin got knocked over,
yeah.
so she's not in position to help.
Yeah, so she is
or-
not able to do her help part.
Okay,
But Evan is, so he can give advantage to one person.
Okay.
Which one would you have sent him to?
Probably to Zinhorn
Okay.
because he knows him better too.
All right.
And once again, kind of focusing on doubling up his efforts. So I will try to do the two things. That's a dirty 20 on the survival roll
Okay.
and
Which
16 on the intellectual. Or
which
sorry, not survival. It's
performance?
performance.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So with a 20 on the performance, you are actually able to give advantage to 2 runners on your own. it doesn't stack, so it doesn't change someone's roll into advantage from disadvantage, but it still certainly works. So basically, both Zinhorn and Baldu get straight rolls this time.
And I'll give the other advantage, if you will, to Zaylene
Okay, sure.
to kind of know if she needs to defend herself if she's going to get run over again.
Okay, yeah. All right.
On your left.
So that means we have both Baldu and Zinhorn still just trying to return back through the maze, right?
Yep.
Okay, so straight survival.
How does 13 sound?
It sounds like enough to get you back and return that third flag.
21.
Okay, so you both managed to get back with the flag. You are, however, arriving at the same time as the other team's fourth flag. So now you are both going to begin the final puzzle challenge at the same time. So you are the judges tell you can all take your blindfolds off, and now is the time for a big 5-person puzzle. And so what this is going to be is it is an intelligence check, just straight intelligence, but it can be, because there are multiple people helping, whoever makes it can make that roll with advantage.
There's just one roll per group, is it?
Yeah, you're basically trying to put together a puzzle. Well, so it's one roll per group per round. You have to get to 3 successes first, because it's a big, complicated puzzle.
And it's just a intelligence roll.
Yes. Well,
Check.
whoever makes it with advantage, because it's just one per team.
Sure.
So probably Nedry.
Yeah, probably.
Seems likely.
With your support, I can do
Oh,
this.
yes.
Right, these 2 bits of blue line up. Well, you reckon those go there?
All right.
So
Oh my
I rolled a 1 and a
God.
2.
Uh-huh.
So with advantage, I got a
Wait.
7.
But you
Wait.
rolled D2s. You didn't roll a D20.
Oh, well, that's much better then.
Oh my God.
Scare the crap out of myself there to get that
So I'm
kind
like,
of roll.
Wait,
How
so
is-
are you
how
you're
is-
rolling in roll 20 or?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
and you rolled D2s.
I typed D2 in my confusion.
Yeah.
That's better. So a dirty 20.
Okay, so a dirty 20 is not good enough for a full for a success in this one. However, the other team does get one. So like they've got one of their 3. But Zinhorn, you notice that as like you can't help but glance over at their progress, as you're kind of working on these puzzles side by side, and you have a high enough passive perception that you notice it's subtle, but as they're reaching around and looking through all these different big wooden block pieces to go into this puzzle, you're seeing them like scan their hands over, and then like one piece will like just very subtly sort of flash with light, and then they pick that one.
Do I have any insight into what's going on there?
It looks like there is some magical cheating in play, but you don't know, I think. So you've spotted the clue that that's happening, but that doesn't mean you know
Okay.
exactly who's doing it or how or what.
Can I do a dispel magic? Yes. As a matter of fact, I can do a dispel magic.
Okay.
Oh hell, I'll do it at 6th level.
All right.
Dispel magic.
Okay. Make a wisdom check.
Nah, okay, so wisdom. 12.
12. You find that even though you used a high spell slot to do it, you feel that your dispel is like rebuffed. And I think there is a recognition, like, whatever this effect is, it's very powerful, or at least something very powerful is creating it.
Okay.
I think that's all you would have time to do
Okay.
that round. So let's go ahead and go to our next attempt here.
Would there be any skill appropriate to this?
I don't think so, because it's basically just assembling a puzzle out of complicated wooden blocks. So, I mean, intelligence applies, but it wouldn't really be arcana or history or anything like that.
Brute force it with a really good sleight of hand check.
I mean, it's no, I don't think so.
I was gonna say, what about perception? Because you're looking at them to see how they fit.
I mean, I've got it designed for intelligence. Let's stick with that.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Okay. Does Zinhorn report this, or are we focusing on the puzzle?
Do I have time to tell them about it?
I mean, I how about this? You have 4 words worth. Because you're also talking about trying to put the puzzle together, right? This is
Right.
the 5 of you crowded around this thing.
Someone's cheating with like
Cheating, powered, high level.
Figures. They've been cheating all along. All right.
Can
We'll try to.
we can see them while we're doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna reach over and pluck a flea
Mm-hmm.
off of Evan because he has fleas.
Okay, we've just now established that as canon.
Oh, poor
Yeah,
Evan.
he has fleas. We probably all do, but I'm going to cast Infestation on that uppity, preppy, Solomonia loving wench.
Mm-hmm.
So she has to succeed on a Constitution save 16.
Okay. She does not.
Okay. So she takes 1d6 poison.
Okay.
She's now covered in fleas and bugs, and so she takes 3 poison.
Uh-huh. And she has to like move, right?
Yeah.
So
5
I
feet
think
in
she
a random
like
direction.
and she just starts scratching, and she's like, you know, like jumping around the platform trying to get at whatever these bugs are. And I think
Ooh, wait.
you
I can roll 2 more dice because I'm a level of 12, so
Yeah,
it was
okay.
3 dice. I didn't realize that.
all right. She's
So-
tough enough. You're not going to kill her or something with this.
Right. So 14 total.
Okay. Yeah. Although certainly that is significant enough. Like, the judges have not yelled out to stop, but they do seem to have noticed that, and they're like discussing amongst what did we just see. But let's go ahead and get your puzzle solving roll this time.
Okay.
So intelligence with advantage.
Dirty 20 again. That's still
Okay.
not enough.
Yeah, still not enough. This is a complicated puzzle. However, certainly with this, with their leader momentarily distracted, the other team has not advanced this round either.
I want to channel, or Baldu is going to channel his inner Norwegian black metal band and let out a primal scream in intimidation, and yeah, try and just like
Psych them out.
psych them out. Something completely evil sounding, I
All
guess.
When
It's a dark metal
Kind of
haku.
thing.
Go ahead
Yeah.
and make an
Nedry
intimidation check.
rolls, is it an ability check?
What?
When Nedry rolls these intelligence, is it ability check?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to reach over and cast guidance on Nedry.
Okay, cool. So go ahead and make an intimidation check, Baldu.
That's 26.
Wow, that's pretty good. So I think you do that scream, and there is just a moment where all of the crowd noise just goes silent for a second of just like, whoa. And then the side that's cheering for the pocket protectors is like, yeah. Everyone else is just like, oh, what was that? And so I think, yeah, you've certainly got them cowed a little bit for the moment. So let's go ahead and get another attempt here.
So I'm trying to get a bit better. A curious question.
Uh-huh.
So there are a number of general skills that are beyond the skill list. So there could be a skill in puzzles.
Yeah.
So can Nedry cast borrowed knowledge and have proficiency with puzzles?
Hmm. You know what? I'll allow it. Although it's certainly another casted spell.
Yes. Yeah. So he'll sketch out a book in front of him
I read this somewhere.
to gain that extra little.
Is that an
Little
action to
proficiency.
do that?
It is an action, yes.
Okay, I think that's going to be instead of your puzzle solving this turn then, but you'll have it for the next one.
Yeah, I can't seem to break 20 without it. So whenever
Okay.
I
Well,
can get.
I gave you a D4 to add to it.
That's
too.
true. That's true. But this would give me a +4.
Okay.
Plus a D4.
Yeah.
All right. So neither team makes progress on that particular round. I think on this next round, the leader of the other team is yelling at the judges to say, "Look at them! They're casting spells." But they're still also trying to work on the puzzle because halt has not been called yet. You know, this is all still happening pretty quickly, and the judges, they think it only in the case of something especially egregious would they interfere while it's in progress, but they might make a ruling after.
Okay. Another round then.
Yep.
Let's see if this breaks 20. Well, that'll be good if it's. So with. Wait, are we doing advantage? So
Yeah.
a 31 with advantage.
Okay, see, there you go. I think with a 31, you actually get two successes worth. This time, you've made a significant jump in progress here. But in the meantime, there is a little bit of murmuring, and the judges do look concerned because it has been called out that you have clearly cast a few spells, including at least one like where Zaleen has now twice done something that was directly damaging to the other team. So there's definitely some consternation there. But what is anyone else like taking any other incidental action or just helping with the puzzle?
I am. We've got one more to go, right? One more piece to go. Yeah, actually, I don't know that would be beneficial. Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay.
He'll inspired by the positive cheers after the intimidation, he'll just go around the edge of the thing, realizing that he's not really helping out Nedry in any way, and he'll just like pump up the crowd.
So go ahead and make a performance check for that.
What could go wrong? Oh, a 21.
All right. The crowd loves it. So I think you're getting a little bit more of the crowd on your side. Although I think you have the impression too, though, that what you're encouraging is the audience's like rowdy side. Like, you know, so this is the crowd is like excited, but you're also getting them a little worked up. Like, yeah, as opposed to just being pleased to watch sportsmanship spectacle,
Fine by me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try divine intervention,
Okay. Okay.
and I'm going to uh, pray to Rashama to level the playing field.
All right. So you roll percentile dice, I believe, for that.
That is correct.
Just imagine a mountain one. Leveling the playfield might be raising everything to mountain height.
I got a 70. That does
Yeah.
not do anything.
So I think you get Rushama's sort of mental equivalent of like, are you kidding me right now?
You want me to win a puzzle
You know
contest?
what I mean? It's just like-
This is what you call us?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Solomoni is like, yeah, win. I want you to win.
Yeah, it would seem to be the case. But in any case, so you have, I think the other team, we already had the round where they didn't make progress because of the intimidation, right?
Yes.
So they do make one this time. So it is still tied. But what happens now is as you're beginning this next, you don't know necessarily that it's the last, it depends on how the rolls go, but this preppy leader who's looking a little disheveled now, and she's still scratching at bug bites. She just says, "Please, Solomonia, allow us to give you victory for your glory." And as she says that, the sun starts to just shine. It feels like it's shining extra bright, and all of a sudden it seems like it's reflecting off the puzzle pieces, making it hard for you to see. And so
would that be a spell that's cast? It's probably not a spell that's cast.
it does not seem to be something that
Okay.
this girl has specifically done. It seems to be maybe happening at her request, but not that she is doing. So given this, Zaleen, what do you do?
I call out to the Mistress of the Dark and ask her to cast shadows upon this hideous light.
Mm-hmm. And
Same seas.
What about
Evan,
Evan?
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, Evan also. Yep.
mhm.
Evan also. Is that his
yeah.
new name?
And I think that what you see that some clouds do kind of blow in front of the sun a little bit, and it like mutes the glare a little bit, but you also hear a whisper, Zaleen, saying, "Their time will come."
I just grin. I don't tell anybody about that.
Campaign 3, the religious war.
Religious wars.
So in any case, you are now entering this last round. You are not at disadvantage from the glare, but you neither have any special advantage. So let's get another roll.
Don't
Can
forget
Elvin
we
help
have-
me? Elvin
I
was
mean,
involved
well,
in the other thing.
you're doing your advantage because it's a group activity.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
But
that
I don't get the guidance because the
the
was busy
guidance
with
got
It's only
used.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
All right.
used guidance? I thought you
Yeah.
you didn't.
No, I used it on the last roll, which
Yeah,
is why
yeah.
I got 31.
I can do it again.
Well, you just did a
Let's
thing.
just do it. Let's just keep it
Okay.
going because you just did a thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. I'm distracted.
No worries. This is a
So
little
22.
22.
22.
It's exactly what you needed.
Nice.
That's exactly what you needed. And seconds before they can place their own final piece, Nedry, you slide the last piece in, and you realize, if it weren't obvious before, that you have made now an enormous wooden crab out of various little puzzle pieces, and the crowd erupts in cheers. But amid the cries of dismay from the other team, this leader girl whose name is Stephanie, because we
Course
needed a
it
name
is.
for her. She stomps over to the judges and says, "What is this? You saw them casting spells. They were interfering us. Look, she got burned, and look, I got bug bites all over me. They're doing stuff to us. Are you not gonna like? How's this fair?" And
I walk over casually to stand beside her
Uh-huh.
and say, well, the only reason I did those things was to stop you from the cheating that you were doing.
Well, if you are going to accuse me of cheating, you better have some proof. They all saw you cast spells.
What was that, the spell that you cast, Nedry? Did you have to counterspell her, did you say?
Yeah.
And Zinhorn, didn't you also counterspell? That
I
it failed?
used to spell magic.
Right.
Well, but at the same time, it's the difference between you knowing that happened and the judges being able to tell that that's what happened. What they saw is you casting spells.
Okay, well, I was on the ground when I cast that spell because that giant lummox of a being over there purposely knocked
and
me
Stephanie
over.
says she was blindfolded. She didn't know you were there. It was an accident.
Mm-hmm. You tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself to sleep at night, Stephanie.
Well, it seems like both of your people had an accident at the same time. That's pretty rare.
So the judges are kind of conferring here. They're clearly very unhappy that this is kind of what the judgment of the finals has come down to. It's supposed to be a big fun competition and not something like bitter, but at the same time, it's also supposed to be fair, and they have seen some of those sorts of spells, and so
Zone of truth. If somebody here is capable of casting Zone of Truth, I will gladly step into it.
And then one of the judges actually does kind of get a little bit of a look and then just say, "Stephanie, you're a priest of Solomonia. Surely you can cast Zone of Truth." And Stephanie suddenly has a little bit of a look. It's like, why am I suddenly the one on trial here? I mean, they're the ones who are cheating. But maybe we can be the good sports here where
while she's stammering to get this out, Baldu just goes, "Ooh," and casts Cause Fear on her. So she's going to make a DC 14 Wisdom save.
Okay.
Which she'll probably make, but
well, yeah, she has some of that. Not when she rolls that low, though. Yeah. So I think she yelps and falls backwards off of the platform. And
How far
I think
up is the platform? Is it like high?
it's 10
not
feet.
high enough.
Oh.
So I think that there is some murmurs of concern, and I think the judges are kind of like, okay, so we're dealing with a complicated set of accusations here. This is kind of complicating the matter. Are you okay? And Stephanie's just down there just saying, well, you know what? It is Solomonia's nature to be to have grace
Laying on your back. It's Solomonia's nature to be lying on your back in front of all this crowd. I didn't realize she was that kind of goddess.
So what I'll go ahead and briefly just say is bear in mind that there are an awful lot of people who worship Solomonia who live in this town. So it's one thing to rub a snotty woman's face in it. It's another thing to be dissing the lawful good God in front of a big crowd when you're trying to claim that you won a big festival competition. So I'm not telling you can't do it. I'm giving you context for what it means.
It's appreciated. Baldu will turn to the judges and say, look, obviously, if they're willing to call in favors from their goddess and cheat and lie and not be willing to cast Zone of Truth when it is asked of them to help put this whole thing to bed, then look, maybe they obviously need this more than we do. And it's all about good fun and good nature. And it's entirely possible that everybody involved in the final got a little bit wrapped up. But yeah, obviously, if they're willing to cheat and call in godly favors, then they obviously want it more. So maybe we'll just let them have it.
I
Um,
agree.
So while that was happening, Stephanie's teammates kind of went to go help her up, and they're all making a very big production of like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you fine? Are you hurt when you fell off the platform like that?" But uh, as they are kind of, making that production, all of a sudden there is a gust of wind that oddly, on this hot beach day, has the chill of crisp mountain air. And as this sudden gust of wind kind of blows by out of nowhere, this just rogue gust of wind, one of the teammates stumbles a little bit, and her blindfold, which had been pulled down around her neck, kind of flips over, and two gemstones plop out of it.
There you go, Rashama.
Well, look at that. I wonder what those gemstones are, and I make a grab for them.
Okay, yeah. I think that they try to stop you, but they're stunned enough that you get there first without needing to roll or anything.
Would the judges care to examine these?
I think that this is the bruiser woman who had those. Those are personal mementos of very sentimental value.
You
Like-
mind if I take a closer look? This kind
Seeing
of looks
stones
magical.
that maybe you keep in front of your eyes while you're going through a maze?
And at this point, Stephanie just says, "I think clearly the graceful thing to do in this scenario is to accept that in the spirit of competition, we both got a little overzealous in our attempt to win. But in this case, it is clear that we will gracefully concede the winners of the Pocket Protectors, and we can shake hands and say that we both played fair."
I will reach over and shake her hand and look her right in the eye and just say, "Your time will come."
She gulps.
Can I see one of those stones?
Oh yeah,
Bidhorn?
I
Are
hand.
they
Ned-
ours now?
Well, Nedry will hold up the stone.
I'm not giving them back at the moment.
Nedry will hold up the stone very obviously, kind of in the direction of Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
If this is magical, I'm very curious. Also,
And his eyes glow bright white, the white of the sun, as he invokes Solomonia's blessing
Uh-huh.
to cast Identify.
So
You're not the
Identify
only ones.
Does actually still take a full minute to cast, even if you. But you know what?
It's
Rule of cool-
instantaneous. No, it's instantaneous unless
Is
I
it?
use a ritual. And because of Solomonia's blessing, I can cast a spell that I don't have memorized.
Okay, well, I'm going to rule a cool that you can anyway, but I'm pretty sure that that it is Identify. It does take a minute.
Oh no, wait, sorry. Its duration is instantaneous, but it's casted time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
weird. Okay,
but
it
it happens in this case instantly anyway. And I think that there is a moment where you feel a little bit of a, like, it's subtle and you're not really used to understanding or interpreting these kinds of signs. But as you cast Identify using the boon of Solomonia that you were granted, you get the vaguest sense of a fine. And
a feeling
you
that was going to
realize
happen.
that this was in fact a stone that essentially, like, what it can do is a caster can maintain concentration on it and allow it to show what they see.
Okay.
So the people wearing it wouldn't have been able to see normally per se, but they could see like what Stephanie was seeing.
Interesting. So this does allow you to see.
And he'll toss that one back to them.
I hope you'll see more interesting things in the future. And understand that Solomonia's gifts aren't necessarily for those who scream the loudest.
I think the judges are kind of saying, let's hear it for the winners. And it seems like they are less interested here in making this a big thing, because this is supposed to be a big festival, and now it's become like a religious war. Or a skirmish, at least. But in any case, some of the crowd grumbles, but most of the crowd is cheering your success as you are handed a great big trophy.
Yay!
We should give this
Oh,
trophy
this is
to
heavy.
Sunya. Get inside, Nedry. I'll carry you around it.
I could
Like one
get
of
way
those
too
big
used to that.
The trophy is made of pewter. It's not especially like valuable, but it is engraved with all the sorts of little crabs, and it's pretty. It's fine workmanship, if not precious metals used.
Oh, if only to have a Trendimeter mage right now.
But yeah, so that is the big finale of that competition, and the beach festival is closed out with a night of fireworks that are supplemented with various illusion spells, and it's a big glorious display. Stephanie and her crew have made themselves scarce, and it is a lovely evening.
Well, I was going to give it back, but now I can't find them. So what is this?
They did not make any effort to try to reclaim it. They ran away,
Okay.
basically.
So what is this thing?
It is useless. It was used as a material component for a spell that Stephanie
Oh.
cast.
Okay, but it's a gemstone. Maybe
It-
it's worth something.
It's like a sea glass.
It exactly. It is not valuable.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a reminder.
Right.
For
It
them
could
and
be
us.
used if you knew the spell she was casting, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
keep
drill
it
a
as
hole in it and make it a necklace for you.
Okay. Well, I was
That's what
thinking
she
it could be a necklace for Buster, but yeah.
It
I mean, it's a
might be.
memento. Maybe an earring.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think you know, I would imagine maybe everyone kind of stays out kind of late. There's just a nice big, bonfire and the fireworks to sort of wrap up the festival, and people are celebrating, and there's a fair amount of drinking and all sorts of partying. But so I think at some point in the evening, I think maybe Zinhorn is who she approaches first. Ivy has returned from Pashan. She actually returned before the festival, but there was just so much going on that she didn't really get a chance to talk to you, and she just says, so I do have news from the capital. I don't know if you want to discuss it this evening, or should we wait until the morning? It's nothing pressing necessarily, but certainly it's something that warrants group discussion.
I'm gonna look for someplace quiet.
Okay. So just, I mean, I think you can find it. Like,
Yeah,
this is
just
a big
pull her
open
aside
festival.
and
Just
yeah,
go off to the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just what'd you find out?
Well, so much of my trip was occupied just by giving my full report of what we found, and as we've discussed, I was forthright about what we found, what we saw, and my impressions that I think you are doing good work in this endeavor, and that you should be encouraged to keep going, and that remains true. However, the other task that I had, or objective rather, for the city was to follow up on the pendant that was apparently taken from the Temple of Marushka. And the official answer I was given is that it cannot be located. I was told that they will have people begin work on crafting an alternative. And they would not tell me more. And I am not inclined to believe that I am being lied to precisely. But the nature of what they told me suggests knowledge that was not shared with me.
All right. Well, we will discuss this with the rest of the group tomorrow. I think everyone's earned a night of revels.
Oh, yes.
Including
Congratulations. The challenge was quite exciting. I
Oh.
rather seemed higher stakes than I anticipated.
Yeah, me too. But it worked out okay. Um, I was kind of trying to stay low key there until Solomonia got involved. But it's all in the past now. Let's just have some fun.
All right. And so I think if any of you have business that you would want to get around to that evening, we can cover that, or we can just go ahead and imagine the hungover next morning.
I imagine, like, as I'm carrying Nedry around in the trophy, that like Baldu and Evans started pouring like ale into it, so Nedry's like swimming around in there.
I'm not sure it's that big.
I'm just it would be funny though.
I think it's big
Nedry's
enough
small.
to. I was imagining he was sitting in it, kind of like you could like sit your butt in a wastebasket. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Legs over the side kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was envisioning.
Okay, so they're pouring it into Nedry's mouth. I'm like, let's try to fill it. Let's fill it up.
No. I don't want to lose my mind with this stuff. But we can make it forever pour out for others.
Okay, but not today.
I'm going to look to see if there's a group of flyers who are doing any kind of like dancing in the air kind of thing, and see if I can.
I think there are a few,
Didn't-
especially now that the fireworks are done. And Ivy is happy to actually join you doing that, because she, as was established once she was first introduced, she is actually she's quite good at aerobatics. That's not
Alright.
really the right word, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
I guess it is. In any case, she is good at flying around fancies, what she's good at. Yeah. But it's also dark, so it's like, you can kind of fly over, and it's neat to kind of see the festival and the lights and the fires from above. But, I mean, otherwise, you're not seeing much past that.
We can't see them doing this, can we? Because it's
Um,
dark.
Light spell,
I
light
mean,
cantrip.
you're making yourself lit up in the sky.
Dancing lights.
You're going to be
like, I'll
high
cast-
enough up that it won't do anything except let people from below see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll cast
But-
dancing lights so that they kind of like hug around him.
Sure.
And Ivy, so that like each one of them has two, so that as they
Okay.
do their flying around, it looks all.
You could use it like a landing strip set of lights if you wanted to, if they're coming down.
Where's Carolina when you need her? We could have two sets of dancing lights.
I hope she's feeling better.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine we'll find out what she was up to, at some point in the future.
All right.
We can imagine she's around. She just says she's busy with something.
I didn't want to participate in some silly game.
A little bit too much. Little bit too much sun the day before.
Yeah, I think when you ask her about it, she says, I've got something going, and I'll tell you more when I'm ready."
This is something to do with the shell game, doesn't it? It always comes back to that.
Just said I'll tell you more when I'm ready. Don't press me. She runs away.
Wouldn't she like Dimension Door or?
That's a high level spell. I don't think you do it. if
Well,
you
I
can
mean,
just
she's
run
not
away.
fighting anybody
Yeah.
today. She's totally
Yeah.
yeah. Door just because. Like,
You
bye.
use a 5th level spell slot when you can just walk away.
Actually, I think that Nedry would want to join Ivy and Zinhorn in the flight
Oh yeah.
and cast Fly,
Ooh.
as well as. No, they're both concentration. That's not going to work. So just Fly at the moment. Oh, I do have. Do I have that other one? No, I need to find a way to get another illusion going, but I can't do it right now. Actually, I'll use that necklace, which generates an image of a fish swimming
Oh,
around
yeah.
it just because
Nice.
it's silly. But yeah, cast Fly to join them to see what
Nice.
it's like. Yeah.
Nice. That's nice. So I imagine Baldu and Zaleen certainly get the goth crowd is happy to sit and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes with you, and
Well, we actually turned it into like a rave. Like,
yeah,
we were on the
all
one
right,
corner
there
of
you
the
go.
beach
That's
with like
a
dancing
different
lights.
use
We're like,
for
Mhm.
different use for dancing lights. They're all purple.
But yes, they are. They are ecstatic at the way that you embarrassed the Solomonia preppies, and they expressed that by saying, "That was pretty cool."
yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. So, sounds like a lovely evening. There you go.
Visual joke for those listening at home.
So, here's just a question. I mean, certainly this would, we're a little early in when we would normally end a session, but certainly like this would be a reasonable time to do it. And the next thing would be basically what's next, planning that sort of thing. And so if you would rather wait for Starla to do that, we can do that, or we can continue on, whatever you two would like to, or you four would like to do. I'm good either way.
I mean, I think it makes sense for all of us to be here so that we can
Yeah.
Yeah.
not have to
Make
repeat
it like a
ourselves.
big
Okay.
And
plan and
So
Yeah.
what I would encourage is that next week then you come prepared to make decisions about what next for the Pocket Protectors, and in particular, like I said, the gist of what Ivy will share, and she'll have a little bit more detail, but the gist of it is the official word on what's up with this pendant is cannot be located. We will try to find a substitute or make one. And that seems a little bit strange, but that's the word. So you asked and answered. That's the answer you got.
seems suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in any case, I guess we'll draw our session to a close a little bit early tonight. But we had a lovely beach festival, and you won the trophy and everything. And there's and good job. So yay! And we will be back for more adventure, hopefully next week, on so many levels.
So
So
many
many
levels.
meters, really.
Like 5.